are, dude. It's fucking disgusting. I mean, you go over to On3, same thing. You go over to Josh Pate, you got a whole freaking group of these people, bro. These people that you say, which I totally agree with, the old haven't just started watching football in 2022.
Yeah, I mean, Colorado fans are, listen, they may win this game, they may not. The problem with it is, like you said, I mean, if they win the game, they're going to talk shit and it's going to go on another week. If they don't win the game, then they're going to disappear off the face of the internet. And like 2 people out of 150 people on every video that comment are going to be, like, you know what, we were wrong. And then it's going to make us feel like shit for the other 128 people or the other 148 people, I guess, that comment on these videos with an opinion that, let's be honest, next year when Deion leaves the program, won't even be Colorado fans. You know what? We're going to start asking from now on, if you have anything to say about Colorado or Deion, I want to see physical fucking proof that you were a Colorado fan before the end of 2022. I demand to see it. Otherwise, just say you're a Deion fan, and let's be even honest with that. You don't really give a shit, you know what I mean, about Colorado or Shedeur or anything. You just want Deion to win, and that's fine. Like, I want Deion to win too, but I'm also a realistic person. Chris wants Deion probably to do well too, but we're realistic people, or we look at things and we try to look at them non-biasly. Okay, so you say, oh, well, you have bias. Well, shit, so do you. If you're a Colorado fan, you see how triggered some of these people get. This isn't a safe space over here at the I-80 boys. What we are trying to cultivate around here is not a cult. It's not an ideology of anything of that nature, but rather it is a simple discussion in which we can talk college football, right? We enjoy talking college football. But if you're a fucking moron, like half these Colorado fucks out here, who you can tell aren't actual Colorado fans, they're just Deion dick riders, as we like to say, I don't give a shit. We don't care. Because when you inevitably lose and win, 5-6 games this year, and you act like you win the Super Bowl, and you're playing in the Outback Tostitos Who Gives a Shit Bowl, we don't care.
No, you're exactly right, Christian. Not the, fuck it. I mean, we need to talk about it because it's an ongoing issue. It's not just our channel; it's multiple other channels out there too. But it's like this group of people. Like, is Colorado, Christian, that big of a poverty level school that winning 5 or 6 games is something to go around and brag about? Like, you did win the Super Bowl. Like, I mean, are they that desperate for attention? You know what I mean? Or is it deeper than that? I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. Like I said, we're not the only channel that has this, and I'm with you 100% on, we try to talk college football over here, but when you constantly pour the same thing into a comment section because you're mad because somebody didn't pick your team to win, Christian, we pick hundreds and hundreds of games on this channel, dude, every week. I mean, it seems like, you know what I mean? Sometimes we're wrong, sometimes we're right. And I don't think we've ever gone around and point and laughed at, oh, Jesus Christ, hey, fan, we were right, you were wrong. No. I mean, that's part of college football. It's part of having fun. It's the reason why we watch, right? I mean, to talk shit to other fan bases, that's cool. I enjoy that. The Colorado man took it personally, Christian, when he found out I was from Nebraska.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we don't talk shit in the comment sections. First of all, I don't really enjoy talking shit, in the comment sections in general. All right. But if you talk a bunch of shit leading up to a game and we're proven right, like somebody the other week said, who was it? Joe Klatt says. I don't give a shit what Joe Klatt says. Okay. Because he's sitting on the couch just like us. All right. Yeah. I mean, he might have a little more inside information, but outside of that, we don't give a shit. He said Ohio State's going to win 42-27 or whatever it was. So the margin of victory is, who cares? Okay. It was 7-0 at halftime. I mean, I feel like middle school soccer games have more action than what I watched in that Ohio State-Iowa game. And then you start getting, and that's a whole other topic for we'll talk about later, is you start getting these, Ohio State and Oregon fans, which is a rivalry I didn't even know I wanted to see until today or until leading up into this week, where you start arguing about whose bullshit teams they've beaten would beat who.
No, I'm with you. I wanted to talk about that for a second. This narrative that goes around, NFL is the same way. where these people get into arguments about, well, we beat teams A, B, and C, and we beat team C and A, but B would beat C. You know what I mean? That's the dumbest argument you could possibly make. Like, that makes no sense. It tells me you just started watching football yesterday. You know what I mean? Teams change from week to week. Week 2 football is different than week 6 football. You know what I mean? Like, that's the dumbest thing I see when it comes to fans arguing about whose record is better. Let's be completely honest, Christian. I think you'll agree. Ohio State hasn't played anybody this year. They played a good defense in Iowa, right? Okay. Who's Oregon played?
Boise State.
Boise State. Yes. I mean, other than that, that's it. I mean, that's the end of it.
I want to talk about that for a second, Chris. Boise State. I don't know why I want to talk about them, but it's their running back. If he stays healthy, right? I mean, if he stays healthy, and assuming, let's say, hope for him and his NFL chances, you know what I mean? Like, you hope they don't make the playoffs. And the reason why I say that is he's obviously going to get picked. Like, I don't want to sit here and say, oh, he's not going to get picked up. But I'm just saying, like, you want him to kind of gear down, hopefully in a bowl game. But he's got to be a first-round pick, right? I mean,
he'll be the first running back selected. He'll probably be a top 10 pick. I don't know if you've seen this, but I was talking to a couple friends the other day. What he's doing statistically right now, which I know records are meant to be broken, but I didn't think anybody would ever come back or even come close to Barry Sanders' all-time rushing record, whether it was single season or the 2 years where he had just these crazy ass numbers. This kid is on pace right now to break it. There's only been 4 backs to ever average 200 yards a game. He's on pace to do that as well. He's unreal. My only question is, though, Christian, this is what kind of like I don't want to shit on the kid because I watched an interview with him yesterday, and he's a really good dude. He's a military kid. He grew up over in Italy on a military base. Very well-spoken dude. He's obviously very talented, Christian. But these numbers that he's compiling, and I don't want to shit on Boise State, but it's like, you're not playing the defenses though, like Barry Sanders did, right? In the Big 12, or you're not playing in a Power 4 conference. Like, I think those numbers are maybe a little skewed. You know what I mean? You could probably run up the numbers a little higher there than you could if you played in the SEC, right? Or if you played in the Big 10 or a conference like that. But what he's doing right now is truly remarkable. So, yeah, to answer your question, yeah, I don't know if he's on pace to try to break that record. He might play in a bowl game or in a playoff game. But I do think that he is going to be the number 1 running back selected, and I think he'll actually be probably a top 10 pick.
100%. Keep going for just a second here. I want to look something up. You saying that kind of had me,
go for
me a little shooketh. So go ahead, just take over for a minute here.
Yeah, no, you're fine. Trillion Corn says Travis Hunter wants $40 million. I did see that to go to the NFL. Yeah, he's not going to get that. He's off the NFL regardless. Obviously, he's really good. He might be the first. Speaking of NFL draft, he might be the first player taken in this year's NFL draft. But yeah, no, he's Travis Hunter. I mean, the amount of money in this whole NIL thing going on right now is crazy. Anyway, we talked about the other day about players now like opting out during the middle of the season because they're either not getting enough money or the contract that they looked at or signed or whatever isn't to their liking. That's a whole nother topic for another day, but it is getting old.
You said you were talking about him growing up in Italy on a military base. That's where I was stationed, and he was in Naples. I was, which is more southern Italy, I believe, on one of the coast parts out there. But I was more northern. So I was like, oh my God, did I know this kid? You know what I mean? I mean, I didn't probably know him, obviously, because I was an adult.
Yeah, no, but it was if you look it up, they had an interview with him last night before the Northwestern Maryland game. He was on ESPN, and very well spoken kid. I was very impressed with just the way he talked and just who he is. Seems pretty humble too. You know what I mean? Like he's a good dude. He's not flashing watches and doing that kind of arrogant shit, right? He's just going out there putting up ridiculous numbers, bro. Ridiculous numbers.
Yeah. Of course, Colorado is probably going to win this game 69-21 today. When they inevitably don't do that, you know what they can do?
What's that?
They can 69 with Dion after they lose. This Nighthawk guy, he might be onto something here. Hey, listen, I don't ever want to encourage anybody to go into comment sections and talk shit or to incite, you know what I mean, some sort of weird bullshit thing in our comment section. I don't want to do that. But if you happen to have some free time and you wanted to peruse over and you wanted to, just have a fun weekend, just get in there and have some fun.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to read some of the most craziest comments ever, go into a Colorado section. I am also, I got people that want my address to beat me up. I'm also a racist, Christian. Did you know that? That I am racist?
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago, you did say, hey, whose backfield had a lot of brown guys in it?
Yeah, apparently. I guess.
To be fair, though, the last name of the running backs he was talking about were brown. I forgot what it was. Who was it we were even talking about?
I think it was Louisville. They have two running backs with the last name of Browns. I said the Brown boys or the Brown guys or whatever. I didn't obviously mean anything racial by that, but the Colorado video I did though had nothing. Absolutely is not racially driven at all. I could give a shit what fucking color you are, but that's that typical card though, right? You throw the race card out there and whatever.
I don't believe you mentioned race one time when talking about these two teams,
either.
K-State or Colorado. As I believe race doesn't really play a fact into it, unless we're talking about NFL cornerbacks. Then at which point, okay, maybe.
Yeah, what was that? Cooper DeJean's like the first one from the last one since Jason Sehorn to ever get drafted, right? Or something like that. God, it's a crazy deal, man.
God, isn't it? Jeez, yeah. And it's okay. I mean, because as we know, we can't be racist against whites. So that's fine. I mean, like we can't, it would be like interracial hate. You know what I mean? So anyways, looking at some of the news and notes from today around college football, Ducks, Jordan Burch, South Carolina transfer. I think he was the number one pass rusher, in his class a few years ago. He's a standout for that Oregon defense out there. Uncertain for this Ohio State game. We got another Cam Rising situation. Will he play? Won't he play for the rest of the season?
I do know he's a stud. My guess is he's going to play in this game. This is definitely Oregon's biggest game of the season. Honestly, if you look at the schedule they have, obviously I don't know how severe the injury is, and honestly, Chris, you got to take these things with a grain of salt, right? We don't know what it is. They're never going to fully disclose. Kind of like the NFL, right? A lot of coaches play games with that whole injury thing. We know that with the Cam Rising deal over at Utah. By the way, we'll talk about him in a minute. But I think he does play, but it is a big loss. Ducks need everybody they can get today. This Ohio State-Oregon game should be a good one.
100%. 100%. The better question is who will play for Oklahoma, not who's not going to play, because I feel like all the receiving core is not going to play. We know that. Burks, one of their best receivers out for this game. So that hurts. But by the way, do you know this game was called the Red River Shootout?
Yes, it was always, yes, 100% back when I was younger. And then, apparently when I put the poll up there, they've been called the Red River Rivalry now for how many years? I didn't think there was anything. I have no problem putting shootout on there. That guy really got offended by that though. Like we were a soft podcast or something, but yeah.
I never realized that. I guess it's just because that 2005, by the way, was when I started watching college football. I'll never forget. It was ironically with Texas and USC, the game of the century. My dad grew up in Wichita Falls, Texas, Tejas, as it were. Played at Rider High School, which I believe has produced some guys that played at Nebraska. One of which Scott Saltzman, I believe, one of your offensive linemen, a couple of your guys there. Another guy, I believe, was it JT Barrett? It was the Ohio State quarterback, came from there during that era. So, anyways, fun fact: the reason why I talk about that is, I'm pretty familiar with Texas. You know what I mean in this way, but I never even realized it. By the time I started watching it, they already changed it to the Red River Rivalry. The more you know.
Yeah, no, it used to be called the Red River Shootout. Did they change or get rid of Georgia and Florida's? The world's largest cocktail party, right? Used to be called that. What was so offensive about that?
I don't know. I literally don't know. I guess they want people to drink less. If anything, I think it's made them drink more.
Well, yeah, you can't turn on a college football game without a Bud Light commercial every other commercial. So, yeah, I guess whatever.
And then, oh God, who is it? Is it? There's another one we play. Let me make sure I look this up.
Ain't South Carolina, is it?
Georgia Tech, called Clean Old Fashioned Hate.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
By the time we get to it this year, it'll probably be called Two In-State Schools Who Love and Respect Each Other and Really Care Tremendously for One Another, Who Do Not Disrespect One Another. So we'll see. We'll see exactly what this is going to be called.
Yeah, fucking woke movement.
Ole Miss to address suspicions of faking injuries. Why do you even? How do you even address this? What do you even say? Like, what are you doing?
Are they okay? Are they alluding to on the field? You see teams do this all the time, right? You can't get your defense off the field quick enough or whatever, and then the guy falls down and is grabbing his leg, or if you ain't got any timeouts left. Is that what they're talking about?
Yeah.
Shit's been going on forever. I don't know how you change that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, what can you do? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, the best thing that I would say is just don't say anything. Be like, I don't know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? Because, like, I feel like if you admit to it,
right,
right. You're admitting to it. Like, then the NCAA could come down on you, I guess. I don't know. It's like Michigan, just deny it. Instead of, that's their tagline, like Nike says, just do it, just deny it. Michigan.
Oh boy, yeah. You want to get the Michigan fan rifle revved up this morning on that.
That's okay. When you guys can throw for more than 200 yards or more than 150 yards without throwing an interception, then come holler at us. Keep denying it. All right. We'll look back at some of the games that happened over this slate here. You had Tuesday start off, Liberty beat FIU. And then you had Jacksonville State beating the brakes off of New Mexico State. Thursday, everything went about as the way it should, right? James Madison ended up beating Coastal Carolina 39-7. Louisiana Tech beat Middle Tennessee. And then UTEP is one of the worst teams in the country. Western Kentucky blew the brakes off of them. Then last night happened. And I have a feeling, Chris, tell us a little more about last night and some of these games and what your thoughts were.
Well, we'll start with Utah and Arizona State. Cam Rising played. Couldn't believe he actually played after being on the IR like he was all last year. Came back through 3 interceptions. It was ugly. I watched a couple quarters of that game on and off. It was ugly. Christian, we'll talk about this after the fact. I want to jump into the Northwestern Maryland game. Northwestern beat the brakes off Maryland. Now, I think Maryland had 4 turnovers in this game last night. I did watch that whole game. Northwestern throws the ball now, which is crazy to me watching them. For years they played the old solid defense, gonna ground and pound. But they got a couple playmakers there. I'm saying that about Northwestern. I do like that Braun kid as a head coach. He's a young guy. He's the one that filled in for Pat Fitzgerald last year. Was kind of thrown into the fire and ended up winning 8 or 9 games last year. They're not a bad team. Northwestern's not a bad team. I want to finish up with UNLV and Utah State. Man, talk about points being scored there. UNLV is a pretty good team. They got a really good offense. I will say that. I know they're in like top 20 in every category. But I want to flip it back to you real quickly about this Utah-Arizona State team and the conference they play in. Does the Big 12 have any good teams in it?
I'm sure they do. I saw a video from a West Virginia channel, and we saw that together. And they first of all, the title was misspelled. They said overrated, and it was 2 different words. And as Chris pointed out, well, it's a West Virginia football channel. So what are you expecting? And I'm like, all right, cool. You know what I mean? But it said, is Iowa State overrated? And I realized in that moment, nobody in the Big 12 is either overrated or underrated. They're exactly what we thought they were, because nobody knows what the Big 12 is, right? Arizona State is 5-1 currently. And what we thought was Utah probably being one of the clear-cut favorite to win the Big 12, I would say, no longer looks to be the case. So another year of the Big 12, another year of chaos. And so, hats off to Arizona State. They look like they're doing what they should do, but they got a brutal schedule ahead of them, Chris. They have a brutal schedule ahead of them. It sees them having to play, K-State.
Oklahoma State is on there. They have Cincinnati.
Oklahoma State.
I think they have BYU, who's rated obviously super high, is another team in there. Arizona, I believe, as well. But I'm with you on this one. The Big 12 right now, I don't know who the best team is. Iowa State is ranked, BYU of all teams. Did you know that BYU and Arizona State, Corn alluded to it here, we're supposed to be dead last in the Big 12? Now they're probably the 2 best teams. I mean,
hey man, every year, just put your money on the lowest team to win the Big 12, the dead last or whatever, and then about halfway through the season, cash out. Just
Yeah.
cash out and take your money.
I will answer this question though. I know who the worst team in the Big 12 is, and I already lost money on them. And you know where I'm going with the Christian, Kansas. The Kansas Jayhawks have officially 1-5, season done.
Yeah, and just because Chris gave up on them, now they're going to start to turn it on and start playing like they should have played all year because that's how it'll go.
God, man, I'm just pissed, bro.
I want to talk about this real quick. Cam Rising, by the way, if you'd have told me Cam Rising comes back and plays in this game, first of all, that statement alone would have been shocking. But second of all, he threw 3 interceptions, didn't have any touchdowns, didn't look all that great in this game, right, Chris?
No, he looked terrible. He couldn't complete a pass. I think he started. Somebody could correct me if I'm wrong. If they watched this football game late last night, he was like 2 of 11 or 2 of 12 starting passing. And I'm like, he couldn't hit a receiver. It was just like, and the 3 turnovers were huge. That's the reason why Arizona State won this game. Now, hats off and credit to Arizona State, like you said, Christian, but it was ugly, man. I mean, it was an ugly game for Utah. And I'm a little disappointed in Utah's defense a little bit. I know the turnovers hurt. You know, obviously whoever turns the ball over the most usually loses. We know that stat. But they got pushed around a little bit for a Kyle Whittingham defense that I thought was the best defense in the Big 12. Again, Christian, you said it best. Like, honestly, the Big 12, we say it all the time over here, it is literally just throwing a dart at a dartboard every year. There's no consistency out of any of these teams so far.
100%. Chris, does the name Spencer Petras mean anything to you?
Yeah, the number behind it is utterly impressive. This is your boy, as we call, from Iowa. Yeah, you love him. And I know we're talking. Who was the big kid that was playing for Utah last year? Was
it Hill? Was his last name Hill? I believe. Yes. Yeah, I forget what his first name was.
Yes. Yeah. Deacon Hill is his name.
Deacon Hill. Yep.
Yeah, but Spencer Petras, the Iowa quarterback, the last couple seasons, putting up a bomb. Christian 461 yards last night in a loss.
I'll tell you right now, if Iowa had literally somebody that could put up half of those numbers, just half, 230 yards, 250 yards, look out. You know what I mean? They might score 27 points in the game. And that's all you need. That'd be all you need if you were Iowa.
They're going to need that today against Washington.
Yeah, they ever. South Carolina taking on Alabama, Chris, 11 a.m. kickoff here. Does South Carolina have a shot in this, or does Alabama roll?
I'm going to go in between here. What I mean by that, I'm going to say here is I think Bama wins. I think they win by a couple of touchdowns. The reason why I can't take South Carolina to probably win this game or even keep it remotely close is because, Christian, they really struggle on offense. Lenore Sellers, dude, he's not a passer. He's a good enough athlete. Poor man's Jalen Milroe, if you will, back there, but he can't complete a pass, bro. I do think South Carolina's defense is pretty damn good. But you know how this works. If you can't move the ball and a lot of 3-and-outs on offense, you know what happens. Jalen Milroe eventually is going to torch you. So maybe you have different thoughts. I'd like to hear them.
No, I think Alabama rolls. You know what I mean? If they come out and look like shit, of course, this was last year. You know what I mean? Right about the time. I mean, Alabama just kept winning last year. And again, like we've talked about, I'm taking the style points, the betting, all that bullshit off the table here. It's just about winning. You know, if you're a college football program right now in the year 2024, just win. Okay. If you're Ohio State, if you're Georgia, if you're Texas, whoever, it doesn't matter. Just win. That's all you got to do. Like Penn State has looked like dog shit, you know what I mean, in a lot of their games, but you know what? They're undefeated. And at the end of the year, that's all that matters. We said the same thing last year about Michigan. We said the same thing last year about Washington. And what happened? Well, Michigan won the national championship, obviously, but you know, they kept winning. And that's all you have to do. Doesn't matter how you do it. You're going to have a week where, like last week, you know, you're going to have a week where maybe if you're Miami's that team this year for me, but they just keep winning. Now, arguably, their 12th man, who is the referees of the ACC, have helped them out tremendously. And I know I'm going to fire up the Miami fan base when I say that. I don't give a shit. Go back, watch those games, and tell me you didn't get favorable calls or you didn't get a lot of missed calls in those games. It's okay. You're undefeated, and the ACC knows what they've got. They want to prop you up. They need to get some people in the playoffs. This is their retribution, I guess, for last year. You know what I'm saying? Like with Florida State and everything like that. So I don't know. We could get off on a tangent about that all day. You know, looking at this game here, you've got Washington taking on Iowa. Chris, I know that was a game you were talking about. Washington playing a little better defense this year than especially last year. The offense, I feel like, obviously has regressed, and it makes sense if you think about it. But what's your thoughts in this one?
Yeah, take everything I say here with a grain of salt, as I've not been great the last 2 weeks as far as betting goes. But I took Washington in the points today. I actually think Washington can win this football game. I do. You said it best. Their defense is good at times. You can run the ball on them, but what they did last week to Michigan was they pretty much, I don't want to say shut down Michigan's running game, but they kept it in check, because obviously that's all we know Michigan can do. I mean, there's no joke or any way around that. I think in this game they got a chance, Duke, because of Iowa's offense. I do think Keegan Johnson, the running back, he's really, really good. They're going to force feed him the ball if you're Iowa today. But I think Washington can hang in this one and potentially pull off an upset here. Like I said, I think this game will be really close. I think the spread's like 2.5, 3 Iowa right now currently. But yeah, I do like Washington today. I think they're a better team than some people think.
Yeah, I think Washington rolls in this one, and I'm gonna tell you what, I'm gonna double down on this. I'm gonna go a step further. I think this starts that conversation, which has already been started. This really furthers that conversation about Kirk Ferentz retiring this year.
Yeah, probably needs to. I got a lot of Iowa friends, and they've been diehard Iowa fans for a long time. They're all kind of saying the same thing, like it's time to change the culture here on offense. You know what I mean? Because let's be honest, we've seen teams win national titles with less talent on defense than Iowa has.
Tell you who I'd love to see at Iowa is Cliff Kingsbury.
I don't think he'd go there, but I'll tell you what he's doing with the Commanders and that offense right now with Daniels. Holy shit. You think he comes back to college?
I think if the job's right, you know what I mean? I think if the job is right, I think he would come back to college. You never know. I mean, an NFL program or an NFL, franchise might call him. If it's the Panthers, I would stay away from it. Like, would you rather go? Let me ask you this: Would you rather go to the Carolina Panthers or go become the next head coach of the Iowa Hawkeyes, Chris?
Jesus Christ. Oh boy, I don't know how to answer that one. Wow. God, Panthers are cursed. At least you're going to win games at Iowa. I'd probably take Iowa, man.
I'd have to take Iowa too. To me, the Iowa job, I think the Iowa job just seems boring. I just think it seems like a boring job. The Panthers job seems fun and interesting, but there's more job stability, I feel like, at Iowa than there would be at the Carolina Panthers. Because basically, if you take over the Panthers and you have a bad year, you're gone.
Right.
Wisconsin taking on Rutgers. Wow. I would say I lean Wisconsin in this one. I know the game is at Rutgers, but Rutgers offensively to me I know you guys shut them down last week, but I feel like Wisconsin here, these seem like they're poised to kind of do a little something.
Yeah, I get this. Rutgers is favored today, I think by a point or two. I'm on Wisconsin. I bet this one already. I took Wisconsin money line today. I think Braden Locke, man, I know he's not a world beater back there, but I think if you give him a little bit of time, which he's shown this year, and he gets the ball out quickly, he's been really efficient. So after watching Rutgers completely dismantle the fourth quarter against Nebraska, they had a lot of drop passes. Just credit Nebraska's defense. Don't get me wrong there. But Rutgers is a one-man show on offense. And it's Kyle Monangai. I mean, are you really sold on the Greek rifle? I mean, I'm not.
No. Greek food, debatable. The Greek rifle, nah. Georgia Tech taking on North Carolina. The only reason why I want to talk about this game, we had a lot of people tell us, and they were right. Tech has owned North Carolina as of late. We saw North Carolina get the doors blown off of them by James Madison. Little trap game here, right? Because I feel like for Tech, who'd they beat last week? Duke. Like, they beat an undefeated Duke team that I don't think either one of us were really over impressed with. We kind of called that upset before it happened. And then, to me, Tech has Notre Dame next week. To me, this is a letdown spot for Tech.
Man, I cannot get on board with North Carolina today, Christian. I see the angle you're playing here, and I like it. Give me Georgia Tech here, though. North Carolina to me is just speaking of coaches that need to retire. Mac Brown, I think it's time. I like Mac Brown as a coach. I do. I think he's been great for his God. He's been coaching for 40 years, I swear. But I got to take Tech here today, man. I think they're the better football team.
Chris, I'm going to tell you right now, we're going to talk about his former school here in just a minute. I'm going to go ahead and throw some peanuts at you here. I'll bet you $500 North Carolina wins this one. Let's go. Straight up. Let's go.
All right. Let's do it. Let's do it. Oh, boy. The old Colorado comment there. Fuck. Unemployment at its finest.
I was going to say we don't accept, it doesn't matter.
Food stamps?
Yeah. What is it? What is it called? ETB or EFB?
Oh, yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. We don't accept that or food stamps, so it's okay. Actually, my fat ass will accept food stamps at this point. You know what I mean? Food is food. You got to get it how you get it. Everything has value. So Texas taking on Oklahoma. We've talked about this game a little bit here. EBT, there you go. Sorry, I don't know why I was being such an idiot there. Thank you, Corn. Texas taking on Oklahoma here. Any chance Oklahoma can win this game, Chris? Other than the delusional Oklahoma man's talking about, well, you never know what's going to happen.
I agree with some of the guys in the comment section that said that you throw the records out the window here, which if you look at recent history, you can. I get that. Here's my problem with Oklahoma. One, their offense is just not very good this year, and they are so banged up. I mean, they are playing with, bits and pieces here, Christian. I just don't see how they're going to be able to score 27 or more points today, or even get in the 30s to try to beat a Texas team who's very loaded on offense and very good on defense. You know what I mean? Like, I know Texas hasn't played in Texas, man, don't tell me Michigan's a good football program, because they're not this year. I'd like to make a case for Oklahoma, Christian. I just can't this year with all the injuries they have.
If Oklahoma has a shot in this game, they need to make it an ugly game. They need to control the clock. They need to be able to run the football. If Oklahoma can't run the football in this one, they're screwed. They're like the Hawkins kid. I like him, but you're not going to be playing with 4th and 5th string wide receivers as your number one options in this game, trying to beat Texas. It's just not going to work. It's not. Like, I understand Texas right now looks good on paper defensively, and I get it, right? They've played pretty good, but who in the hell have they played? Michigan beats himself offensively, so you got to throw that out the window. Mississippi State, one of the worst teams in the SEC. I don't give two shits what you say. And outside of that, Colorado State, of the world, like, I get it. Texas is being held up on paper right now, but they haven't really played a decent offense, in my opinion, outside of Mississippi State. And even that, you could make the argument for. The thing of it is, Oklahoma has to be able to run the football. In this one, you kind of have to sell a little bit. Hawkins is going to have to make some things happen with his legs, extend drives, keep the ball out of Quinn Ewers and Texas's hands, and make it an ugly game. They got a shot if they can do that. As we've been told, I would love to still see this game at night. Apparently, Dallas is not that great of an area to be running around, at night. But they do have lights there, so we do want to put that out there. They could play this game at night. Let's make a night game happen, please, for the love of God. Penn State taking on USC. Now, you coming into this game were really, you were sold, hey, USC get right spot here. And you thought USC knocked off Penn State. Has that changed at all?
Yes. The more I thought about it during the week, I look back. Stats are stats, right? And like I said, every idiot on the planet can find a stat to support their argument here. I just, Penn State's defense is good, and I don't know what's up with the identity of USC on offense. Miller Moss has looked great at times. I do still think he's a really good quarterback. But as far as this game goes, I do think Penn State wins this game. They're a more sound football team. USC turned the ball over a couple times last week against Minnesota. Now, maybe they get that together this game. But I still like Penn State in this one, Christian. I thought for a minute there maybe USC can hang in this one. But the more I think about it, man, I've kind of changed my mind throughout the week.
Here's the problem. Here. Ooh, yeah. Caleb Williams had 11 rushing touchdowns last year. Didn't have a lot of yards, but he had 11 rushing touchdowns. And then you go back, you start looking at this year.
Yeah, Miller Moss is not a runner. He's a statue.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the problem. I think that really, truly is part of the problem here. Miller Moss has negative 20 yards of rushing. Now, that's not, okay, whatever. No, that's what it is. One rushing touchdown. To me, I think that's kind of part of it. He's a statue back there. This kid right here, maybe we turn to him, we start seeing him a little more. Maybe we start.
Man, I don't know if they can pull. I mean, Moss hasn't been terrible, bro, but it's just like I know this kid's supposed to be. Isn't he a 5-star? Isn't that right?
I believe so. I think he played at UNLV last year, if I remember correctly. Yeah. He committed to Georgia in the offseason out of the portal, and then like a week later, just bam, sprinted to USC. But I do believe in this kid. I do think he's got a little more of that, ability to run the ball. And because like you said, I think USC's offensive line has not played well at all this year. And so they haven't really done themselves any favors.
No, it is a little, maybe does this have something to do with maybe USC joining the Big Ten though, Christian, with the defenses being a hell of a lot better than they are in the Pac-12 year after year after year. You know what I mean? I mean, the one thing about the Big Ten, I think most people agree that defenses across the board are pretty solid. That a little harder for a Lincoln Riley-led football team?
I think so. You know what I mean? I think it's probably part of that. Like you said, they're just trying to catch up with it. Penn State, to me, is legit. I know Michigan had a really good defense. Minnesota has a good defense. But I would say Penn State's still on that same level, I feel like, as Michigan defensively. I mean, you could make the argument they're even better than probably Michigan on defense.
I think they are this year. Penn State's pretty solid, like I said, on D. I mean, they're going to – if they can, like I said, if they could score some points in this one, like get in the upper 20s, I just don't think USC can move the ball that well. I do like the fact it helps USC. They're at home here. You know what I mean? Penn State's got to travel out there, but yeah, I'm on Penn State here.
Pitt, who is undefeated, one win to undefeated at this point of the season, man. Hey, hats off to Pitt, man. God. Old Narduzzi, doing the old Pittsburgh yins out there, as they say. I don't think they say that. I just said it, but who gives a shit? Pittsburgh undefeated, taking on Cal at home. Cal has to travel after playing Miami last week. I like Pittsburgh in this. I think they still roll.
I do too. Man, Pitt's such a weird team. When you think they're going to do something, they win 3 or 4 games, and then the year they're not supposed to do anything, they're undefeated. Pitt's an up and down program, up and down.
You said it exactly right. Didn't they last year? I might be wrong here. Didn't they last year? They only won 1 game, I thought, right? Maybe I'm wrong on that.
They won. I thought they won 3 or 4, but it was so ugly.
Yeah.
They beat like Louisville, who was really good somehow. It was like Louisville's only loss. Yeah. And then look, all those L's. And then this year, they were supposed to finish at the bottom of the ACC. Nobody predicted them to do absolutely anything. And look, here they are.
Yeah. Give them their flowers. Let's take a look here. Some other games going on here. You got Illinois taking on Purdue. Illinois should roll in that one. I think Purdue fired their coordinator, as I recall. I don't think it makes any difference. I think Purdue, one of the worst teams in the Big Ten this year.
I would say they're probably the worst. I mean, they don't have a defense. The offense is atrocious. Illinois by 4 scores today, at least.
And 7 years ago. I like it. Georgia's taking on Mississippi State at home. Mississippi State, one of the worst teams in the SEC. Chris, just because Georgia and Mississippi State don't play each other all too often, they've played each other in the past, obviously, I understand that. They don't play each other all too often. Is there a chance this is competitive? Like, is this a chance where Georgia kind of struggles in this game, do you think?
No, I don't think so. I mean, Georgia's offense this year has been boring to watch. I'm not going to lie. But I don't think Mississippi State can score. I don't. I know Mississippi State has scored some points. We did see in the Oklahoma-Texas comment section that some Oklahoma fans were trying to troll Texas for a struggle game against Mississippi State last week. It was close for a little bit there, but that happens a lot. I don't see Mississippi State putting up more than 2 touchdowns in this game.
Yeah, real quick before we go on, I want to go to Corny says, am I the only person who thinks Cal's trash? I think Cal's just a mid-team. Like, if you play him, at home. You know what I mean? Like in one of those weird kind of Friday night games or just a night game at Cal. I feel like they're a weird team. You know what I mean? Where they can like keep it close or they can pull off an upset. Or if you go to Auburn early in the season, as Chris likes to bully, these college-aged athletes out here, into trying to pay his betting losses back.
Don't worry, buddy. I got Peyton Thorne on speed dial, bro. Get my money back for that game.
Send the Venmo request right there to old Peyton Thorne. One Vaca Lane over there on speed dial. We got Florida taking on Tennessee. Now, this to me is going to be an interesting game, right? Because it's not going to be interesting. Tennessee's going to roll Florida.
Okay, you're going against the grain here because Florida has owned Tennessee the last 10 years. I'm with you today. I took Tennessee in the points. I don't love it, but the fact that it's at Tennessee, I'm gonna put my stock back into Tennessee after last week's disappointing. Christian, I know you were on the losing end of that as well as I was. I'm back on Tennessee this week. They better go out there and play better because it wasn't good offensively for Nico last week. They got Sam Pittman out-coached Josh Heupel last week, man.
Yeah, they did get out-coached. Like you said, they did get out-coached. But see, that's to me where I think they come into this game, they're pissed off. So there's two things you've got in this game, right? Number one, Tennessee lost last week to Arkansas, so they're fired up already because of that. And then you go back to last year and how Tennessee looked in that game on the road in the swamp at Florida, right? Take that with a grain of salt, whatever you want to say. But they went into that game last year, I should say, and got just the doors. I would say they just got beaten around by a team in Florida that hasn't really done that a whole lot since then or prior to. Right. So Tennessee looking for revenge. I think they roll in this one. I get Florida has owned Tennessee as, the last 10 years, but Tennessee is going to be fired up and they should come out and do something. If they don't, as a lot of people like to say, then, we're going to fade Tennessee. Well, yeah, because Tennessee has expectations. So this to me, if they don't come out and win the, how do you say, Chris, the style points award here, I have less confidence in Tennessee then.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like I said, Tennessee, I'm going to give them one more chance here to go out and beat a not very good Florida team here. They should roll by a couple touchdowns today, in my opinion.
Ohio State taking on Oregon, the rivalry that we didn't know we needed, but now we look forward to. These fan bases both love to talk shit, and rightfully so. I like it. Number 2 taking on number 3. It's at Oregon. It's not a place that has a ton of seats in their stadium, but it is loud nonetheless there at Oregon. Chris, any shot Oregon can knock off Ohio State here?
Yeah, there's a shot. They are 3-point underdogs currently, obviously, but which when you're a dog at home like this in a big game, dogs usually tend to hold pretty strong here. This game to me is tough. I do think Ohio State wins this football game. Simply because of I'm going off my eye test. Now I know Oregon people can say, well, who has Ohio State played? I could say the same thing about Oregon. Oregon has really yet to play a complete football game this year, in my opinion. I will say that this game's going to come down to turnovers, least amount of penalties. I know that sounds super cliche and it's boring, but both teams are talented at both sides of the ball. I mean, we could talk about Ohio State's playmakers on the outside. We could talk about Oregon's offense and Dylan Gabriel. We could talk about all the returning production on both sides of the defense. This game will be close. But right now, just from what I saw, Christian, this is my own personal opinion, obviously, which is what I do every single time we get on air. I just think Ohio State right now has looked better. I'm going to lean Ohio State by a field goal. I know that sounds super square.
No, it's okay. It's hip to be square. Huey Lewis, you American Psycho over there. I like it. Ohio State wins this game, and they win it because I think that, look, Oregon's played a lot of close games, but they haven't played a lot of close games, I feel like, this year with somebody the same caliber of Ohio State. Right now, we're not going to sit here and argue who gives a shit opponent that they played, who would beat who in whatever schedule, like some of these fans have done. We're not going to do that. Okay. I think Ohio State's the better team. I think over the last few years, they've played in more of these primetime games, and they've done, frankly, better. I mean, obviously.
Yeah, I want to throw this question out there for the audience, and Christian, you too. I love Dan Lanning. Like, he's by far one of my favorite coaches in college football.
Yeah.
What's his biggest win at Oregon?
Question. Off the top of the dome, I don't really know.
Right, because last year, I know it's small sample size with him being there. This is his third year now or fourth year. He lost to Utah his first season. I do remember that. Utah ended up winning the Pac-12. Lost to Washington both times last year. You know what I mean? And I thought Oregon could have beat it both times personally. Now, you could go into penalties, and there was some questionable coaching calls, especially that first game. But that's my point. Like, you made a really good point. What you alluded to was Ohio State's played in probably more of these close type of games under Ryan Day. Kind of another reason why I lean Ohio State here. Trust me, I'm not going to lie to you. I want Oregon to win this game. I'm more of a Ducks fan than I am the Ohio State man, but I just got to lean Ohio State here.
Yeah, this game to me gives me vibes of the game last year. This is what I'm trying to allude to here. The game last year where you had it was Ohio State taking on Notre Dame, where it was just it was a good old school throwback of a game where Ryan Day at the end of the game came out and was like trying to troll Lou Holtz. You know what I mean, which is elder abuse, as I've been learning about more and more. You know what I mean, which is messed up. And then ultimately, at the end of the day, it didn't work out for him because he couldn't beat Michigan, and then ultimately got skull drugged by Missouri. So Holtz still winning. Hashtag let's get it trending. But yeah, I do like Ohio State in this game. So talking about two other teams here in Ole Miss and LSU, who I think we had not just us, but a lot of people in their own fan bases had a lot of high hopes for both these teams. Ole Miss and LSU, Chris, what are your thoughts? Does LSU pull the upset here at home? And I know it's kind of weird to say.
I know. This one's such a coin flip game to me. I mean, you look at the recent history, right? I mean, it's literally every game has been the team total, or not team total, but the over is hit 9 out of 10 times in this game. That means a lot of points are going to be scored. You know, it's been a track meet. Last year was 55-49 was the final. That was a crazy football game last season. I'm leaning Ole Miss here simply because I think the loss to Kentucky and how bad they looked on offense in that game. Now, credit Kentucky's defense. I think they're motivated and fired up here. I know you could say the same thing about LSU. They lost to USC week 1. That was a good football game. Turned around and played a ugly game against South Carolina. Somehow squeaked by, pulled that out of their ass, honestly. I know Tiger Stadium is like probably the toughest place to play in college football. That'll help. I don't know, man. They said, and some fans made some good points on this, Ole Miss hasn't won there since 2018. But I'm gonna go against history right here, Christian. I like Corn's analogy there. I like Ole Miss by field goal. I mean, this game I think is going to be very close, very high scoring. Who's got the ball at the end of the game wins the football game, in my opinion.
I agree. All we've heard about all offseason for both these programs is the defense. Well, defense didn't look that good against the South Carolina team that I think has shown since then and prior to. They're not very good, no matter who they have at quarterback. I get it, Lenore Sellers. The story that everybody wants to talk about. The guy wears the goggles, right? But that's should tell you what you need to know. I mean, the guy in this South Carolina offense, I don't really have any confidence in them. But neither one of these defenses, to me, and we talk about Ole Miss coming into the season, they did a 7-on-7 hot dog eating competition for their spring game. I hope that pays off for them, and I hope that they can have just enough defense and they're well rested just enough coming into this game to be able to make a stop. So we can be right, because I do also believe in Ole Miss by a 1-possession win here. So, yeah. Oh, the rivalry we didn't know we needed, but that we've gotten. Vanderbilt coming off a historic upset here, Chris, taking on Kentucky. At Kentucky.
Does it end this week, Kristen? Does all the hype? I mean, Vanderbilt, Pavia, what's his name? The quarterback's been on every talk show I've seen this whole entire week, and that story was amazing. It was probably one of the best upsets of all time in college football last week with them beating Alabama. It made me happy. I'm not going to lie. I think it stops today. Give me Kentucky in a close one. I know I break your heart. I know you're deep down, you're a Vandy fan at heart. But I got Kentucky here in a close one. I think Kentucky's defense is obviously very good. I hope Kentucky can score some points today. They've really struggled on offense. But man, like I said, I'd love to see Vandy win this game. But like I said, I'm leaning Kentucky here. I think it'll be a good football game, though. I truly do. But give me the Wildcats.
Chris, let me tell you what Vanderbilt has right now. Okay. It has something that you
Hope.
can't teach. Yeah, you're exactly right. They have hope, but they have confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They have confidence, which is a dangerous thing to give somebody. I mean, it really is. Sometimes that's all you need, right? You think about sports betting. Is it that you're a degenerate gambler, or is it that you lack the confidence to be able to throw a
Sound like an
substantial
infomercial.
amount of money? Yeah, damn right. And I'm telling you right now on Vanderbilt football, I can't believe that I'm doing this at this point, but I'm going to do it right now. Vanderbilt has confidence. They're going to go in here because of the parity that is college football. They're going to beat the brakes off of Kentucky. You know what I mean? I think that they really will. I think that they will win this football game, and then we're going to have to start talking about Vanderbilt being a top 25 team in college football.
Damn.
Now,
really?
Yeah, I think they will. They've got confidence. I mean, here's the thing that Vanderbilt's done, right? They play just enough defense, right, to keep them in the game. And offensively, they do just enough to keep the ball out of your hands. Now, to me, who does that sound like? I mean, Kentucky plays better defense, so I'll give the edge there. But offensively, I mean, have you been sold on Kentucky's offense?
No, but Kentucky has proved to me that they could play in close games. I know I'm going to allude to it. The Georgia game, they held you guys to 13 points.
Yep.
I know Vandergriff hasn't looked good this year, and you're right. I would definitely give the edge to Vandy right now as far as the offense goes. But I do believe Kentucky's got a much better defense, and they're at home, here. I think this is a letdown spot for Vandy, man. I mean, do we need to put some money on this, or?
Let's go. We'll do a gentleman's bet here. We haven't done one in a while. We talked about peanuts and all that bullshit, a little bit ago. But let's do this. Let's make it a little interesting here, Chris. I'll bet you a C note on it. I'll bet you a gentleman's C note on it, right? That way, when these future doctors or whatever the hell you're studying at Vanderbilt, I don't even know. These scholastic athletes at Vanderbilt end up upsetting Kentucky. You can help to pay for part of my move inevitably that's coming in January, which, we'll see what it is. You'll see in January me throw up a new background back here, so it'll be good.
All right.
We'll see. We'll see. What is it in Zoolander? He said the school for learned doctors. Was it Zoolander that said that?
Shit. Yeah, you're the movie buff, man.
Maybe it was a Will Ferrell movie. I'm not sure, but it was Vanderbilt.
All right.
Academic school, confidence. They pull the upset today.
Okay. All right.
The most overrated team in the country, Iowa State, taking on West Virginia, according to the West Virginians. More like the West Virgins, as we like to refer to them here as. First of all, I got to start this segment off just talking about this. West Virginia, if you want to talk about being overrated, I think West Virginia was an overrated team coming into this year because they've let me down every step of the way.
They have. They've looked like shit this year for a team that was potentially a dark horse winner of the Big 12. Iowa State kind of came from nowhere, but that's right now. You look at the Big 12. That's exactly what it's been. God, man, fuck it. Give me West Virginia Day. Pull the upset at home. It's time.
Yeah, I like it too. West Virginia, just because they're not really projected to do shit at this point. And Iowa State right now is the clear-cut, team in the Big 12. West Virginia. And then it just makes the Big 12 even more paradoxical, I feel like.
Yep. Watch Colorado beat K-State today, and then you got like an 18-way tie at the top.
100%. They might Rochambeau that bitch for, who goes to the Big 12 championship this year. We'll see.
Copy that.
Your favorite team, Chris, the Colorado Buffaloes taking on Kansas State. I gotta be careful saying that because some of these people are like, oh, it's really his favorite team.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But go ahead.
I said this and because the title of the video, was K-State was going to dog walk Colorado. I still think Kansas State wins this football game. Okay. Would it shock me though if Colorado wins? No, absolutely not. Because why? We just alluded to about every Big 12 game today. It wouldn't surprise me who wins every single week. This isn't Vanderbilt versus Bama, right? I mean, that's where you're going out on a limb picking something like that. Colorado's got a chance today. I think it comes down to the lines of scrimmage. If Colorado can shut down K-State's running game, we know K-State likes to run the football. And believe me, Colorado, man, K-State is a much better running team and a much better team overall than Central Florida. Okay, these are facts. Avery Johnson's going to have to be able to throw the football a little bit today. He has struggled. I like Avery Johnson, but he has struggled. Some of that's the receiver's, fault as well. They're not creating space out there. I do believe K-State, if they can run the football here, and I think they're going to run not well north, but I'll say right around 200 yards today as a team. Keep Colorado's offense off the field. Colorado has one loss this year to Nebraska. Nebraska did that as well. They ran the football for 190 yards against Colorado, kind of kept Shedeur and that offense off the field. I think that's kind of the recipe to beat Colorado. Is Colorado going to score some points? Absolutely. Is Travis Hunter today, Christian, going to make some people look stupid? Yes, he is. He does that every Saturday. But with that being said, I like K-State in this game. I don't like them by a lot. I think it's going to be close. I get it's played at Boulder, but give me K-State.
Yeah, I like Colorado for no reasons that make factual sense other than the fact that it's a 9:15 game Eastern time. Well, actually, no, I think this is Central time here. So it's a late game at Colorado. I like Colorado in that one. I know it's going to piss off a lot of our fan base or some of our newfound fan base that might make happy. So just remember that we are picking Colorado to win. For all the Dion stance here, but I like Colorado in this one simply because I think K-State will get down in this game. I think that they don't, again, I do not believe in their ability to throw the football to win. I like Colorado's secondary versus K-State's wide receivers. I feel like that's the matchup and we're going to be picking on all game. I agree with you. I think for K-State, what they have to do is they have to go into this game and play clock control and try to keep the ball out of Colorado's hands, run the football, make Colorado prove they can shut down that rushing attack. As Colorado fans have alluded to, something called UCF, they shut them down. I don't think it was so much that they shut them down as opposed to UCF just didn't have a lot of positive game scripts to where they would run the football.
They got down 14-0 in that game. Are you going to continue running the football? I mean, they still ran for 172 yards. I struggle to say that is shutting somebody down in the rushing attack. Again, I'm going to bring this up one last time. Central Florida in that game, yes, was what, number 2, number 1 in the country rushing. They played these three teams: New Hampshire, Sam Houston, and TCU. None of those three teams have a fucking defense. Like I said, Christian, we could have thrown you back there at running back against those three teams. You would have ran for over 100 yards apiece yourself. So that's my point. K-State can run the football. Has K-State played a bunch of world beaters? No, they haven't. Nobody in the Big 12 has, really. So I do think I'm with you on this one. I do agree that the secondary of Colorado is probably going to overwhelm the passing attack of K-State here. But like I said, K-State, though, can run the football. Giddens is a damn good back, and Avery Johnson torches people on the ground all day long. If he gets outside the pocket, he's really reminds me kind of Jalen Milroe, right? I mean, he can run. That kid's a track athlete too. So, like I said, I'm with you 100%. It wouldn't shock me if Colorado wins this football game. Do I want them to win? No, definitely not. But I got K-State in a close one, less than a touchdown.
100% agree. Boise State taking on Hawaii. Predictions for this game. This is kind of where it's like, hey, I was thinking about this the other day when I was driving home from work. Genty. It kind of sucks that in college you can't have like player props. You know what I mean? Where you can't bet on it. What do you think his prop would be for this game? Like, what do you think the over-under rushing yards would be for him in this game?
Well, you can bet on player props in college, Christian. And his over-under right now for rushing yards, 185.
I don't know why, but FanDuel apparently is screwing me there, so I need to maybe look at consulting with you. Would you say it was again?
185 is his over-under as far as rushing yards, which is nuts. He is averaging over 200 a game. There is only 4 players ever in college football to ever average over 200 yards per game. He is on pace to break Barry Sanders' single-season record, which I never thought was one of those records nobody would ever break. Now, here's the deal. I hope that they don't try to kill the kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he is a very, very good player. He will be the number 1 back taken in this year's draft. We talked about that a little bit to start the show, but I did see a line. I think it was touchdown scorer props, and he'll give me a second here. This is nuts. To score 3 touchdowns or more is at minus 115. I mean, that's insane. That is almost a lock. He's scoring 3 times. That's basically what Vegas thinks, and he's been doing. So, like, yes, this kid, what he is doing against Hawaii today, I would assume, Christian, he's going to go well over 200 yards. Hawaii is not a very good football program.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, the only thing they got going for them, it's a late night game. Boise State, though, used to playing these late night games.
Oh,
So, yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said, I don't know. I mean, 185 prop bet for Genty in this one. I don't think Hawaii can stop it, even if they put 2 guys extra in the box, even if they don't even have a safety playing back there. I still don't think they can stop them.
Yeah. It's nuts what he's doing. I wish I want to say this again. I'm not taking anything away from the kid. I wish that he could play in a Power 4 conference, though. You know what I mean? I'm glad he didn't transfer. He could have last year because he came on really strong at the end of the year last season. I'd like to see him in the Big Ten or the SEC, where the defenses are obviously better than what you're going to be playing against Hawaii and Utah State, those types of teams. Kind of what he would do against the elites of the elite. You know what I mean? Like, he did run the ball really well against Oregon, but then the Oregon fan told us that he had just 4 big plays. Well, still had 4 big plays. I mean, that's credit to Genty on the running the ball, right? I mean, Jesus Christ. Most running backs do have big plays. That's what makes them elite.
Nobody's been able to figure him out. You just hope the kid can stay healthy this year, and then I can draft him probably number 2 overall, number 1 overall next year in fantasy. So we'll see.
Yeah, no, as long as he don't get hurt, he's fun to watch.
Well, Chris, we've broken the hour mark here, and we're about inside of 30 minutes here before kickoff for all the games today. We're very excited. Any closing remarks before we get out of here?
Go Wildcats today. That's first and foremost. I hope the game against Oregon State tonight is awesome. I do. I don't think that'll be a blowout by any means. I just want the game. By the way, this is probably the best slate so far this season as far as college football games on one weekend. There is a shit ton of games today that are ranked opponents, in conference foes. There's going to be a lot of good games at every time slot today. Unfortunately, I'm going to be at a wedding dance tonight, so I will be on my phone 24/7. But I would say go Huskers, but I got to say go Bulldogs today, obviously. But what Bulldog am I referring to, though?
Hey, you know what I mean? That you can interpret it any way you want to. It's the one thing I will guarantee you in that matchup, a Bulldog is going to win. A Bulldog is going to win. So Chris is exactly right. You know, we're gonna enjoy a great slot of football today, pretty much all throughout the day. We hope everybody's team wins, obviously, and we'll be back again on Wednesday with another live show around 8 o'clock or so. You guys have a great weekend, and we will catch you